action expresses priorities. Mahatma Gandhi, the great political campaigner and thinker, civil rights leader and one of the founding fathers of modern-day India, could not have put it any better. Nigeria has had a long history of leaders who speak glowingly about plans and programs to develop various facets of national life, especially during electioneering. But their actions have mostly been at variance with their promises, to the disappointment of an expectant citizenry. The current economic recession in Nigeria has forced agriculture to the front burner of national discourse, with government laying out impressive plans to develop agriculture and produce value chain. Despite the intentions, actions towards the implementation of the plans have been far from impressive. The result is the current crisis in many sectors of agriculture that is putting Nigeria on the verge of a food crisis. Likewise, decisions that rekindle the hope of Nigerian farmers emanate from the authorities every now and then. A recent one is the decision to pay off the 1.7 billion naira compensation owed poultry farmers whose birds were culled following the outbreak of avian influenza in many parts of the country in 2015 and 2016. The decision came after Farmers Market exclusively reported on the dangers posed to human health by poultry farmers who now sell off sick birds instead of reporting incidents of diseases on their farms.
Nobody wants to report something that would only attract government attention to come and kill his birds. He is sure there's no compensation. So he would rather keep the birds and salvage what remains of it by selling it silently into the market without disclosing the status of his birds.
Will the continuous consumption of maybe infected birds lead to its mutation in the human?
My answer straight will be yes. It will be yes.
And some part of the money has been paid, but we still have an outstanding of 1.7 billion. The acting president has also directed that we should liaise with Minister of Finance to see how we can get that sorted out.
Today is a good day. I want to tell all the poultry farmers around the country and the millions of people involved in the poultry value chain that today is a good day for the industry.
On Farmers Market, we await the implementation of this noble decision, if only to protect Nigerians from the threat of the bird flu virus mutating to its human species. This week, we turn our attention to another decision that still awaits concrete action. And that is the development of Nigeria's dairy value chain against the backdrop of the perennial deadly crisis between herdsmen and farmers, as well as the poor access of Nigerians to dairy products, especially milk. Farmers Market is designed to stimulate a change of attitude towards agriculture. It promotes Nigeria's agricultural prowess, celebrates its successes, identifies the challenges besetting the sector, and advocates policies and programs that will help grow Nigeria's agro-economy. Welcome to Dangwala, a new and a unique settlement located in the Kura local government area of Kano State. A permanent home for over 100 Fulani pastoralist families. In Dangwala, the Fulani community is fast learning new life and trade tricks. They are building permanent homes and living in the same location all year round. Usually, the Fulani pastoralists are nomads who move cattle from semi-arid zones of the country southwards. into the savanna and tropical forest belt in search of green pasture and water as the seasons change. This seasonal movement of the Fulani Pastoralists is a way of life, an age-long tradition that found acceptance in Nigeria as far back as the colonial era. But it was only made official in 1964 through a government gazette setting aside about 6.4 million hectares of forest reserve, with 98% in the savanna. However, only 2.3 million hectares of this land was ever surveyed, while most of the water and road projects to facilitate easy grazing were also abandoned. Apart from this, the dramatic increase in the revenue from oil by the early 1970s led to the relegation of almost all agricultural policies and programs, including further development and implementation of the grazing reserve policy. In 1964, when the grazing reserve policy was made official, Nigeria's population was 49.17 million. Between 1980, when 2.3 million hectares was eventually surveyed for grazing, and 2013, the country's population had grown from 73.7 million to 173.6 million. Today, it is projected that the population stands at 193 million. The implication of these is that the fast-growing population and urbanization have taken over the grazing reserves.
Today, because of human activities, farming, hospitals, schools, settlements, roads, and all that have increased in the country. And so it is a difficult thing for you to talk about grazing in the manner that is being done. I have advocated right from the inception that the way to resolve farmers and herdsmen conflict is about ranching. Globally, that is what is being practiced. If you go to Europe, America, and Asia, that is what I see being practiced, even on African soil. In Swaziland, their major export earning is beef. But they ranch their cattle. So why can't we do the same thing here?
Apart from this, insecurity represented by years of fight against insurgency, kidnapping, cattle rustling, and the deadly clashes between cattle herders and farmers in many parts of Nigeria have made traditional dairy production an uphill task.
Matsala ta mu ce kawai ta rashin fili, amma a sauran yankuna abin da ke faruwa matsala ce ta lafiya.
Our major problem is lack of grazing field. The setback we normally have is that of passing through farmlands. We travel on a particular route to the east or west, and on coming back, we find farms on the same route, and there is no alternative route, so it becomes a problem between the farmer and the Fulani herdsmen. In essence, we must separate between farmlands and grazing routes for cattle. That's our major problem.
All of these come at a time when the economy is in dire straits due to the crash in the value of oil, Nigeria's main source of revenue for about half a century. A time when Nigeria is looking to agriculture as an alternative source of revenue and economic development. In July 2016, the Nigerian government approved a new national roadmap for agriculture tagged the Green Alternative. It recognizes that the country's cattle value chain has become a major security problem. It describes the current supply chain as inefficient and a high security risk because the roaming cattle are a source of friction between landowners and herdsmen. The Green Alternative aims to protect all parties by retaining cattle in ranches.
We intend to provide irrigation for all year-round commercial fodder production to enhance the settlement of pastoralists. And we intend to spread the production of fodder across the length and breadth of Nigeria, north, south, east, or west, because fodder production is good business. The cattle and sheep and goat improvement through expanded breeding programs that will also aggressively address the issue of quality and quantity in livestock production using artificial insemination. We shall pursue the establishment of clusters of dairy farmers which would be equipped with milk collection facilities, schools for children of the herdsmen, markets for their products, and one new dimension we intend to pursue: to discuss with the Minister of Internal Affairs and train special units of the civil defense to protect large ranches against rustlers.
Even as Nigerians await concrete government action on the development of an effective, productive, and a friction-free dairy sector, some stakeholders are already leading by example, and the Dangwala Fulani Community is a beneficiary of that effort. It's a weekday morning in Dangwala. Members of this Fulani community are about their normal daily activities, and this mostly involves dairy production. The women are busy milking the cows. In the past, it would have been time to take to the streets of Kano looking for customers in need of fresh milk or the fatty milk extract called maishanu in the local parlance. But not the Fulani wives of Dangwala. In fact, these women do not hawk cow milk. They do not need to. The arrival of this vehicle quickly explains why. It's a dairy production company that daily collects milk from the women. All they need to do is milk their cows, collect the milk, and wait for operatives of the company to take delivery of it. This is one of the activities of a cooperative model initiated by one of Kano's biggest dairy farmers, and it has protected the Dangwala Pastoralists against the dangers of cattle herding in the last 5 years.
You see, if you look at our source of milk, it comes from two main sources. We have those at the bottom of the pyramid, that's the herdsmen that are at lowest, and then you have the commercial dairy farmers, which is at the top. So we don't have issues with the commercial dairy farmers because this is something you go into as a business. The major challenge is from the herdsmen, that they are doing it as a tradition, and they move around. So if they move around, in the process of that movement, they cause chaos, and chaos is visited on them as well. So it doesn't benefit anybody. So our system here, which we put in place, is a win-win situation. It benefits us because we get good source of milk. It benefits the herdsmen because they don't have to go and cause trouble anywhere, because one of the fundamental things they need to do is to become sedentary. Because once you move, we can't chase you to go and start collecting milk from you. And then it benefits any other person because you don't expect crisis to come to you, because these guys are now stable and they have gotten an economic activity that makes them to stay in one place.
Apart from off-taking their cow milk, the Fulani community is also being provided extension services. Their cows are bigger, healthier, and yield much more milk than ever before.
Before, our women, then they commot cow milk. After commoting cow milk, they cooking. After cooking, they carry go sell. They carry go market, they go sell. After that, they come back. Before they come back, tummy don't go. But now we thank God. We thank El Anzir. El Anzir, they go come for our house, carry our cow milk. They buy this, they pay us our money. They pay our own money, their money. Then their house. They never suffer. After that, El Anzir, they don't show us how we train our cow, or how we go get plenty milk. Before one cow, she never eat. She never eat anything. She never eat anything. We go get 1 liters or how liters. Okay, El Anzir shows how we they train our cow. We they give them food. We go get the one we go get 2 liters, 1 liters before. We get 2 liters to 3 liters to 3.5 liters. You see, we don't get. She don't open eyes for us. Before, we they carry, we know they stay one place. We should live here today. Tomorrow we they decide. Last tomorrow we they decide. We no get rest, man. So now we don't sit down. We don't build our house. We don't get our own line.
The model has become so established that cattle herders outside the cooperative take their milk directly to the factory, which now serves as a demonstration farm. At 220 naira for each kilogram of milk they supply, it's a guaranteed source of income.
It's a win-win situation for everybody, and this is what we are doing. So, in a nutshell, you just organize them into cooperatives. You give your condition that they must be sedentary. You give them value by buying and giving them because this, once you're able to make whatever it is they are doing an economic activity, that's enough incentive. That's enough incentive. So it's make them sedentary. It makes us happy. It makes them happy. It makes those guys that potentially they are going to have crisis with happy, and then those people that come and rustle their own cows because now they are sedentary. They don't move in bushes. Chances are they are more protected and they are more secured in wealth. So it's the benefits is just enormous.
A major challenge of dairy production in Nigeria is that a greater majority of the cattle breeders have no access to quality animal feed. They have to travel almost all year round from one end of the country to another just to find green pasture. Even when they do, the grass is not nutritious enough to increase the milk yield of their cattle. This is besides the long and endless trek that makes them unhealthy. All these pale in the face of the deadly clashes between herdsmen and farmers, as well as the challenge of cattle rustling.
We need to look at it beyond, numbers that I have 100 heads of cattle. We should be talking about I have 100 metric tons of beef. We're talking about I can get you 500 liters of milk every day, fresh milk every day. And until this production goes beyond us keeping these animals as pastime, we cannot be self-sufficient. Food security it's going to be a mirage. Now, what science taught is that people must come in clusters. They must have quality nutrition, fed their animals, water, and then health supplies. Because an animal that is sick or an animal that is hungry is not going to give you any good product in terms of milk, in terms of eggs, in terms of meat.
Commercial dairy farmers are finding ingenious solutions to the challenge of nutrition for their herds, and these include the importation of exotic grass.
If you follow trend in agriculture, then you would have heard about the controversy that ensued when the Minister of Agriculture announced plans to import grass to feed Nigeria's 19 million cattle.
I'm also happy that the issue of whether we need special grasses or not is almost gone, because when we first mentioned it, we received many missiles from different directions. There was no need, after all, there's grass here. Some of our grasses may not even have as much as 5% protein. So the cows can chew and chew and not give us any good milk. So it isn't just about grass. Other economies that have done very well in livestock have taken the trouble to go and do proper research on these things. And this is science, not sentiment.
Well, this is the type of grass that the minister was talking about. It is called Napier grass, imported from Kenya. It is highly nutritious for the cattle, and the most interesting thing about it is that if you plant Napier grass today, you can harvest in exactly 6 weeks.
We need exotic grasses that is better than our local grasses here. We propagate. These grasses will use small spaces to produce high yield of foliage. So what it means is if our local grass can give you a kg per square meter, this exotic grass can give you, for instance, 10 kg per square meter. So it reduces the utilization of land. I think this is what we need, and it should be encouraged.
Now, what nutrients, what makes Napier grass nutritious? What does it contain?
Yeah, I'm not an expert in that area, but what I know is you give the cows such grass, it increases their milk yield, and it is a major source of bulk feed to us. So once, to me, the end is achieved, then it justifies the means. Now the means is for experts to come and tell us how it happens.
Another challenge is the fact that the local breeds of cattle, like the Sokoto Gudali and the White Fulani, do not produce enough milk to meet Nigeria's dairy need. This is because of the near absence of research to improve the genetic makeup of cattle bred in the country.
In practical terms, the average heifer, Freshie and Holstein, average, should be able to give you in an ideal condition something in the region of 35 liters. The best of them will give you anything a little over 40. I've been to farms in Europe that a heifer can give you up to 50 liters a day. Now, the best you can ever get with our cattle is probably about 1 liter, 1.5 liter. If you see one that is 2 liters, bring it to me, I'll buy it from you. It's as bad as that. The difference is so big. I think a lot of these advantages happen to have genetical origins. They develop their cattle. We've had cattle, God knows for how long. Till tomorrow they call you White Fulani, or they tell you Sokoto Gudale, or they tell you whatever. But up till today, our research has not been able to give you something you say, this is all Nigeria, and this is what you can do to compete with any of this we're talking about. Take South Africa. You see some of the brown bulls you see here, and some heifers, brown. We call them Bons Mara. Bons Mara is the name of a professor of veterinary science in South Africa. He picked any of the species and developed one that was for Africa. These were animals that could eat anything and live on anything. And they were bigger than any of our own.
There's also the challenge of storage and processing of fresh milk, which is so delicate that once extracted from the cattle, it goes bad within the hour, if not quickly cooled to a temperature level at which it can be preserved. And this requires electricity.
So what we do every time we have a production is we have to run a generator, whether there's electricity or not, because we're not sure if it's going to stay all through. The same thing as well, to store the product, we have to run generators, because in the middle of the night, for example, if the light goes out, then you're stuck with possibility of losing whatever you have in your cold store the following day.
These are some of the numerous challenges which the dairy cooperation in Kano has resolved for the cattle breeders like those in the Dangwala community. This is the model which the federal government hopes to replicate across the country, not only to make milk and other animal protein affordable and accessible to Nigerians, but also to reduce the deadly clashes between cattle herders and farmers. Until this is achieved, the country will continue to grapple with the $1.3 billion annual import bill for dairy products, as well as the security threat which the current dairy supply chain poses. That's Farmers Market for this week. You can join the conversation or watch this program and other editions of Farmers Market whenever you want to. Just go to our website www.farmersmarketng.com. For feedback and sponsorship considerations, please contact us on 0809 566 0090. Email us on info@farmersmarketng.com. Follow us on Twitter @FarmersMarketNG and like our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/FarmersMarketNG. Farmers Market returns same time, same station next week. Thanks for watching.